Yep, got another story coming out of Oregon. Oregon health officials delayed a meeting because urgency is a white supremacy value. Urgency is a white supremacy value. Get something done on time, you're a white supremacist. Hurry to get that done, you're a white supremacist. Interesting. That's what we're talking about today here. If you're new, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies. I read the news. Let's do this. Urgency is a white supremacy value. When I read this, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Is this another fake news? Because you honestly can't make this stuff up. I mean, you can, but this isn't made up. That's why we're reading it, right? Oregon Health Authority official says urgency is a white supremacy value. The Oregon Health Authority is a government agency that coordinates medical care and social well-being in the Beaver State. Just not very fast. Don't want to be supremacist. During the pandemic, the Oregon Health Agency was responsible for coordinating Oregon's vaccination drive and disseminating information about COVID-19. Both vital tasks. Now, you'd think there need to be a sense of urgency there. People dying, not really sure what's going on. What do we got going? It's okay. Just take her easy. Slow down there, Tiger. Don't want to be a white supremacist. Can't have that. The agency's Office for Equity and Inclusion, however, prefers not to rush the business of government. In fact, the office's program manager delayed a meeting with partner organizations on the stated grounds that urgency is a white supremacy value. How in the world does this come about? How do you take getting something done on time, maybe putting a bomb under somebody's ass to get something going? How is that a white supremacy value? So let's take the flip side to that. Lack of urgency is a non-racist value. Being slow is a non-racist value. Taking your time, just being late to everything, is that a non-racist angle? It doesn't really, it makes no sense, does it? In an email obtained by Reasonable, right there, right? Regional Health Equity Coalition Program Manager. Let's read that again. Regional Health Equity Coalition Program Manager. That is a terrible title. Danielle Droppers. Oh, that's her name. That's a good name. Danielle Droppers. That almost qualifies as like a solid, stripper name, doesn't it? Danielle Droppers informed the community that a scheduled conversation between OHA officials and relevant members of the public would not take place as planned. Racist. Thank you for your interest in attending the community conversation between Regional Health Equity Coalitions and some other stuff to discuss the community in whatever collaboratives, wrote Droppers. We recognize that urgency is a white supremacy value that can get in the way of more intentional and thoughtful work. There we go, reimagining and rethinking, but not really getting anything done. Yeah. And we want to attend this dynamic, and we want to attend to this dynamic of not hurrying things along. Is that what we're saying? Sometimes you need urgency. Yeah. Therefore, we will reach out at a later date to reschedule. What a bunch of nonsense. Just straight up nonsense. Droppers did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Not shocking. The email was sent from Dropper's state government email address and drew sharp rebukes from many who received it. One such community member replied that, as a person of color, I am calling BS. I mean, that's what I would think as well. I mean, okay, yeah, hustling things along. Sometimes you just got to get stuff done. Business is a big hustle. The volume at which you do business reflects how much money you make oftentimes. And so making sure things get done in a quick manner, expeditious manner, it's important. Hustle, get it done. But urgency is the same thing. Hey, let's get this done. Let's get this done now. Let's get this done by the deadline. We need to get this done because this over here is relying upon it. Let's get her done. That's a sense of urgency. Let's get this done. But no, somehow it's a white supremacy value. I think there's a lot of people of color out there who would heavily disagree with this statement. I mean, how can you throw this out and not expect people to go, excuse me, what? What are you talking about? And that's what we're essentially doing. We are questioning, what are you talking about? Please educate me on what the state means by urgency as white supremacy value, she wrote. Also, I would like to know how this gets in the way of their work. I have struggled all morning with how to communicate the reason for the postponement to our whatever it is. Droppers did not follow up on her initial email with an explanation. A county health official, however, responded that I too was taken by surprise on the statement and decided to investigate it for further comprehension and wanted to share a link that I found. The link redirects to a website that purportedly identifies aspects of white supremacy culture. The website was conceived and designed by 𝐏𝐞𝐚𝐬𝐥𝐞, a white anti-racist educator who has popularized the idea that several benign and widespread traits are actually characteristics of white supremacy. One of them being urgency. All right. No need to turn in your homework this year or even next year. Urgency is white supremacist. No, let's not get married, this year, next year, next 10 years. There's no sense of urgency here. We don't want to be racist. Among these, the qualities of white supremacy, among these are preferring quantity over quality. Well, those are just traits of people in general, right? Quantity over quality, wanting things to be written down. Yeah. What do they say about wanting to obtain your goals? Write them down, wanting things to be written down. Do you see why some of these traits, you know where I'm going here? These are traits that people, sometimes need to have in whatever their job is or their life experience. Perfectionism is also another trait of white supremacy. Okay. I think that's people in general, nothing to do with white supremacy. Becoming defensive. Well, yeah, that happens. I mean, somebody attacks you, you're going to become defensive. Whether you're black, white, or green, I think that just happens. And yes, possessing a sense of urgency. So somebody read this person's, number of traits that they feel are part and parcel of white supremacy. And they actually read this and semi-comprehended it. And then now they are spewing it out in a governmental entity down in Oregon. 𝐏𝐞𝐚's work makes frequent appearances in educational equity workshops. I bet it does. Similar work by Judith Katz, also an anti-racist expert, was included on the website for the National Museum of African American History and Culture. I bet you there's a lot of pushback by people of color on this one because they're going to say, hey, we're hustling too. We're doing our thing. And we might have a sense of urgency at time. Does that make us white supremacists? Probably not. 𝐏𝐞𝐚's work is not critical race theory, a catch-all term now used by many conservatives to describe all progressive anti-racism activism, but it's often adjacent to critical race theory in diversity, equity, and inclusion training materials, and has clearly made inroads in education settings. Yeah, not necessarily good inroads, because if it's based on this nonsense here, the fact that perfectionism, wanting to get things perfect, I mean, if it overrides your entire life and you can't get anything done because you're such a perfectionist, all right, that's not a good thing. But I think for a lot of people, they see it as trying to obtain the very, very best they can at whatever they're doing. That doesn't make you a white supremacist. Yeah, so many of those traits to me are just like, all right, no. It also appears to be slowing down the operations of a taxpayer-funded agency in Oregon. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it. I mean, maybe. Don't be urgent. The community's frustration is understandable. Government employees who are unprepared for meetings should not cite white supremacy as their excuse. Is this the bottom line? Kind of feels like it, doesn't it? Yeah. Some people just weren't ready for a meeting. Are you prepared? No. Okay. Well, I mean, we don't want to be having any sense of urgency about this because, those white supremacists over there, they are perfectionists. They've got a sense of urgency. I mean, you name it, they've got it. Bad people. Not good. So government employees who are unprepared for meetings should not cite white supremacy as their excuse. Is this what happened? Kind of feels like it does. And that's the way it went down, right? I mean, that's just kind of how it seems. You ready to go? No, I need some more time. What can we do? Let's blame white supremacy characteristics on this. That's a good one. Nobody will say no to that. So is this a situation? Somebody's unprepared? Let's just take a quick peek at the actual email that went out. Hello, partners, and this is from Danielle Droppers. Thank you for your interest in attending the community conversation between regional health whatever and community whatever to discuss the community whatever and being responsive to partners from across the state. We're hearing the timing of this meeting is not ideal and that people would like more time to prepare for this important conversation. All right, so if it's an important conversation, be prepared for it up front. That's the way you get things done. And you know what? You don't even have to be urgent about it. You can just be prepared. When the meeting comes, there's no sense of urgency there. Everybody's all chill. They're doing their thing. They come to the meeting. They have the meeting. They exchange information. They all leave. You don't have to blame racism. Everybody's prepared. But that's not what happened here, right? We recognize that urgency is a white supremacy trait that can get in the way of more intentional and thoughtful work, and we want to attend to this dynamic. Therefore, we will reach out at a later date to reschedule. Thank you so much for your patience, care, and understanding. Best, Daniel Droppers. Yeah, I'm going to take some heat for that one. It's like, what? What in the world are you talking about? It's wild, right? It's wild. This whole concept that you're going to put some traits onto white supremacists. White supremacists might have traits that are, you find them in a lot of white supremacists, but you can't really blame that on not being prepared for a meeting and then say, those guys over there, those guys, we don't want to be like them. Therefore, hey, take your time. You've known for months in advance that this meeting was going to happen. However, you're lazy and you're not getting your stuff done. And we came to this meeting and a bunch of you weren't prepared. So yeah, let's reschedule. That is not how the world typically works. That's certainly not how it works in business. Because if you come unprepared for a meeting in any type of business, and it's an important one, like they're saying, you may not get a second shot. Boom, done. You're out of there. And that's just the way it goes. But in government, you can blame all sorts of things, can't you? White supremacy being one of them because of some traits that they might have. Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense. And yet, coming out of Oregon and their healthcare program, it makes total sense, doesn't it? It just does. You're trying to place some blame where there really isn't any blame, but you want to get out of a situation. And then you wonder why your entire organization is just not all that great and you don't get a lot done. And, I'm not saying that this Oregon Health Division is doing that. I'm just saying those are traits. When you extend things out, you don't have meetings on a set time, you don't follow a schedule. Those are traits of what make people unsuccessful. Being a perfectionist, that is on your way to being a successful person. A sense of urgency. If you had to ask somebody, well, should I have a sense of urgency about this or not? And if it's an important task, most people are typically going to say, yeah, damn right. Get it done. Get it done ahead of time. What about getting something done ahead of time? And then you don't have that sense of urgency. Yeah, there's that. Well, anywho, yeah, right? It's wild that somebody wrote this, and this is what we're working with. To me, I find it shocking, and yet all at the same time, not really all that shocking, right? It's like, oh, you're going to blame that? All right. Well, good luck with that. I think some people are probably going to disagree with you, and I would be one of them, because what you're talking about doesn't really make any sense. And is this based on any type of scientific study that we know of? No, it's just somebody who wrote some stuff and said, they're bad. They've got these traits. And now you're going to go with it because you can't get your act together to hold a meeting. Nice. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.